Hey guys, welcome to another video for anatomy and physiology. In this video, we are continuing our look at the vertebrae, and we're highlighting the cervical vertebrae. That's C1 through C7. Okay, that's a cervical vertebrae. Now I can't go, now they're all not all exactly the same, so I'm actually going to have to break it up just a little bit. And I'm going to have to break it up from starting with C1 and C2 because there are a few slight differences that I need to address. So when you're thinking about the vertebrae, and this goes for all the vertebrae all the way down uh, to the lumbar, is that think of puzzle pieces. So when you fit a puzzle piece, when you see a puzzle piece that has a notch in it, you know that you need to find a piece that has the protuberance or the process that will fit into that notch. Likewise, as you're stacking these vertebrae, they have similar features that will allow them to kind of sit on top of each other and will allow them to move. So one of the first things that I want you to consider is when you're moving your head to say yes, when you're bobbing your head up and down to say yes, the back of the head, the posterior aspect of the head, the occipital plate, comes in contact with your atlas, C1. Atlas is it essentially gets its name from Greek mythology, where one of the Greek gods, Zeus curses one of the gods to have to hold the world up on his shoulders. So here the atlas is holding up the cranium, the head. Now one of the things to notice that as you go down in your cervical spine, the vertebrae are going to get thicker and bigger because, again, the vertebrae, and especially the body of the vertebrae, are where all the weight bearing occurs. So the cervical spine, the cervical vertebrae are going to be your smaller ones. Okay, something to keep in mind if you're ever asked to differentiate them. One of the ways you can differentiate them. So let's go back to the atlas real quick, and I want to give you a different view of this particular vertebrae. So remember that something has to sit on it, right? And you have what's sitting on it, and what's going to come in contact is the processes, okay, the tubercles of the occipital plate. So the tubercles are these protuberances right here. So they're kind of sticking out. So again, because that's sticking out, you know that on the vertebrae, okay, that means it's going to have a facet. It's going to have a cup-like shape to house these protuberances. In fact, let me remove this here. You can't really see it there, but in fact, let's just go to it real quick. So again, we're looking at the vertebrae. This is the atlas. And we know that something is sitting on top of it, and it's coming into contact with the occipital plate. So this is called the superior articular facet. So the facet meaning that this is where it's going to house the occipital tubercles. Okay. And of course, if there's a superior facet, that means there's going to be an inferior process. Okay, this is an inferior articular process. And so since there's an articular process here, then you know that the axis down below will have a facet that will house it, a cup-like shape that will house this process. Now, one of the things to notice as well, this is your vertebral foramen. Okay, so this is where your spine will go through. And another foramen right here. See if I can highlight that. This is your transverse process, this whole arch right here. And this is the foramen. So this is the hole where your arteries are going to go through, and your carotid artery and veins that will supply blood to the head and then return blood back to the heart. And then here you have your pedicles, the feet, okay, and then your lamina. So this is on the posterior side. The posterior will have a lamina always, and just remember, as I mentioned in the video before, when I say lamina, think laminate floor, like the flat floor. This is the flat surface, if you will, okay, the lamina. And as I was mentioning, the cervical bodies were going to be smaller because they don't have to hold up as much weight, and they also don't experience as much shock as the thoracic or especially the lumbar. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to show you. Actually, no, there's one more very important feature. Almost forgot it there. This is the bifid spinous process. Bifid, it bifurcates, it forks into two. Now, in order to show the importance of why this bifurcates, I need to go back and zoom out a little bit. So we're zooming out a little bit again, and we're looking at why this bifurcates. So you'll notice here from C2 all the way to C6, your cervical vertebrae bifurcates. Let's zoom in here. So it splits into two because it has to make room for this ligament right here. This is called the nuchal ligament. So consider the fact that the cervical vertebrae are smaller than the others, and so they don't extend out as much. So you have this ligament that allows it to extend, and this ligament is pretty crucial because it allows connection points for muscles, for neck muscles and shoulder muscles. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we were looking at C1, and I was asking you to consider, nodding your head yes. Well, now nod your head no. Okay, or maybe not nod, but sway your head no. And the reason why you can do that is because of the axis. So we're going to kind of zoom in and take a closer look at why this is able to happen. So when you're looking at this image, one of the key features here is called the dens. So we're looking at the atlas, the one on the inferior to the atlas, the dens. The dens protrudes upwards, and as you can see, it kind of fits into the posterior aspect of the atlas. Okay, right in between the superior facets, and as it protrudes up there, it's connected by a transverse ligament. And that connection allows for the head to rotate on its axis. So you can say no, you can rotate no. So let's see, is there anything else? Oh, one more thing. So as I'm looking at C7 here, let's go up a little bit. C7 actually, if you look at somebody's neck from the outside, you'll notice that everybody has a bulge on their neck, right around their shoulder line. And that bulge actually creates a convenient landmark for kind of seeing where you're at in the cervical spine. So this is C7, this is the last cervical vertebrae. And so from that bulge, because that's the largest cervical vertebrae that protrudes out, from that bulge you can actually start counting up to C6, C7, or you can count down to T1, thoracic vertebrae 1, and thoracic vertebrae 2. So actually two more things here as I'm remembering them. So the joint that is created by the atlas and the occipital, or the skull. So again, this allows your head to kind of say yes. That particular joint is called the atlanto-occipital joint. Atlanto-occipital joint. And the joint that allows your head to rotate on the axis, that one's called the atlanto-axial joint. Atlanto, axis, atlanto, atlas, axius, atlanto-axial joint. Sorry, that wasn't confusing. Atlanto-axius joint. Atlanto-occipital joint. Okay, I think that does it for this particular video. Thanks for watching, guys, and good luck in your study.